Good morning, everyone. How you doing? This is kind of our first real ELA class. I know we've been kind of preparing for it, and so hopefully your first 3 days are a lot of fun. But we're gonna have fun, and we're gonna read a book together. And a couple things we need to work on is character traits. Hopefully you've been doing this in 4th grade and 3rd grade, is reading a chapter or a book and trying to figure out a character's character traits, how they behave and how they act out. And we're going to work on that. I'll get into more detail on that later. There's a few things that you have to understand before you read this book, or it'll be just a big mess. Like your brain will be like, and that's not good. So we're going to go over 3 main things before you can understand The Fighting Ground by Avi. It's a good book. It's about, war. It should be a lot exciting. It's about a 13-year-old boy in the war, so that should be exciting as well. It's historical fiction, so it's based on a lot of facts, but it didn't really happen, though many things like it did. The main thing you have to know is happens during the American Revolution, which we'll be studying around November or December, somewhere in that pocket. And that is a colonial era. It's before we were a country and we were fighting to become a country. So it's the time of horses, wagons. There are no cars yet. There are no trains. There's nothing really mechanical yet. That's right at the time when our country was born. So it's right at the end of colonial times, right before we become a country. That's the first thing you got to know. The other thing is you have to know what a Tory is. A Tory is a loyalist person to the king. So they didn't want to become a new country. They wanted to stay the way it was, stay with England, and let them run things. And so that's a Tory. And the last thing you really need to understand is what a Hessian is. A Hessian is German soldiers that were hired by England to help them fight us, help them fight Americans during the colonial era. They weren't all from Hesse, but the first ones were, so they ended up just calling them all Hessians. But really, they're all German soldiers, professional, hired by King George III in Britain to help fight us while we were starting our own country. Those are the 3 main things you've got to understand. And I'm not just going to talk about it. I'm going to give you 3 videos, 1 of each, so you can get that in your head before you read this. And then later on in history class, we're going to learn about this all over again. So it'll be really cyclical. You'll really be getting hit with it a few times so it can kind of sink in your noggin. But right now I'm just going to preview the book for you. Can we shut the door, film camera person? I hear the football game. It's not the Patriots, don't worry. Okay, that's much better. So if you were hearing the football game, yes, it was on. This is The Fighting Ground by Avi. It is a Newbery Medal winner, so it's a very well-written book. Avi's written a lot of historical fiction. So this is One Day Can Change Everything. April 3rd, 1778. He may be just 13, but Jonathan knows he's ready to go to the war against the British. He can handle a gun. He yearns to battle for glory, just like his brother and cousin. So when Jonathan hears the tavern bell toll, calling men to fight, he runs to join them. He doesn't realize that in just 24 hours, his life will be forever altered by the war, by his fellow soldiers, and by the terrible choices he must make. So this book actually doesn't have any chapters. It goes by time. So it's a 24-hour period. If you ever watched that old show 24, it's kind of like that. I'll give you a sample from the book. This is kind of about halfway through the book. 347. The tall soldier, moving silently, took several steps in Jonathan's direction. Again he stopped and stared about. Then he turned his back on Jonathan, only to turn again. Jonathan heard a crackling snap 20 feet in another direction. Startled, he shifted his gaze. A second soldier was there. He was not quite as tall as the first, but fierce, with a sweeping mustache. He seemed older, too. Again, Jonathan told himself that he had to try and escape. Slowly, trying to make no noise, he squatted low and placed his gun on the ground, pivoting on his heels. He looked behind him, hoping to find a way to go. To his horror, he discovered a third Hessian. He was completely surrounded. Alright, so it's a pretty intense book. I think you're going to like it a lot, everybody. Hopefully you'll enjoy it. And just watch those videos and you're going to get a simple Google Doc and answer those 3 basic questions. What was the American Revolution about? What is a Hessian? And what is a Tory? Okay, so really, that's all you got to do. Please answer it in complete sentences if you can. All right, thanks a lot. Good luck, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye.